What's up? Welcome back again. Today we are going to go straight into it once again. As you can see on the screen, we are going to tackle Sigma rules, Sigma SIEM detection format. What are Sigma rules? It's a generic signature format for SIEM systems. I like the definition on Google, so we're going to go straight into that and we're going to come back. So Sigma rules are open source, vendor neutral text patterns written in YAML that security teams use to detect cyber threats and malicious log events. Used to detect suspicious events. Think of them as write once, detect, run everywhere. Sorry, that's what I usually call it. That's why I said that. Write once, run everywhere, or detect everywhere. Language for security logs. So instead of writing custom query for every single security tool, you write one Sigma rule and convert it to fit platforms like Splunk, Sentinel, and Elastic. So basically, you know, companies have different type of tools, right? Some have Splunk, some have Sentinel, and some have Elastic, and some have all the other ones. But if you are writing a rule to detect a particular type of event, let's say LSAS dumping or whatever it is that you are trying to detect, you're going to run it in your specific tool, such as Splunk. But if you write that beautiful query that catches everything that you're looking for, you cannot send the same uh, rule into Elastic or into Sentinel. You would have to rewrite all of that. And then, so it's not agnostic, it's not platform agnostic where you can utilize it everywhere. But with Sigma, that's what it helps kind of integrate all of these tools in one. So Sigma is a generic and open signature format that allows you to describe relevant log event in a straightforward manner. So it just helps you detect whatever you are trying to detect, anything suspicious. So we also have a Sigma converter. That is what we are going to use to convert from one language to the other. So how it works is such that you basically integrate the Sigma into your detection pipeline. To kind of it knows the language for the individual SIEM tools that they got, right? So especially these are the supported ones. It got Carbon Black, Cortex XDR, EQO, Custo, Logpoint, all of these ones, right? So if yours is not supported, it probably will bring it in the future. But usually, once it's integrated in your detection pipeline, it's going to trigger based off of this. It communicates with your native SIEM tool, and it will create detections for you to analyze, right? Instead of you having to write every single detection, and then if you have multiple tools, you have to write all of them uh, separately. So that's what I love about it. Uh, we come back to this. So you can just go to GitHub, especially just right from here. You can just go there and then you click GitHub, and once you go to GitHub, there's a lot to choose from. You can read about it. Some of the uh, key features: continuously growing list of detection and hunting rules, peer reviewed by a community of professional detection engineers, uh, vendor agnostic detection rules, easily shareable across communities and reports. Yes. So there's a bunch of already written rules, right? In Sigma, when you go to the GitHub repository, and we are going to go over some of them and look at the structure. And so it's very easy to write. Personally, I haven't really written any rules because there's already so many written, so you can just take some and you just edit it, right? So so far I've just been going through them. So let's say you go to rules, and then we are going to choose Windows because that's what most of us use, right? All the platform that mostly we monitor. So we go there, and I want to do process access, right? When you go to process access, let's do LSAS dump. And this is what it's going to show you. It's going to, I don't know if this is too big. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so this is the structure of Sigma rule. It has the title, the ID, the status. This is a test right now. The description, and then the references where they come from, and then the author. If you are writing, you're gonna put your name. It has the date, and if you modify it, like right now, you're going to put the modification date, and then the tags. This is credential access, and then the log source, and then the product, which is Windows, and the detection, and then you put what you're looking for and stuff. So let's look at what is happening here. Pretty much, maybe some other day I'll come back and break it down a little bit more. I just want us to go over multiple and why I like it, and then what are some of the things, the ideas that when I look at it, I kind of get, right? So right now, this is detecting adversaries leveraging the mini dump export function from coms .dll via run DLL to perform memory dump from LSAS. So when you're looking at credential dump, say a threat actor is in your environment, whether it's for ransomware or whatever it is for, sometimes they do use run DLL to dump credentials. One of the reasons why I love, should I say love? Maybe not yet, but one of the reasons I like Sigma rule is going through their already created detections on GitHub. You can actually learn some of the the techniques and or some of the different type of detections that you can create or you can include in your stuff, right? So let's say process access is when whatever malicious tool is kind of accessing in this in this example, trying to touch LSAS, right? So the target image is LSAS, the source image is run DLL, and then the cause trace contains coms vcs.dll, right? So in these specific strings kind of lead us to know this is our credential harvesting activity, right? So we're going to go to a different one. Let's do process creation. When you go to process creation, let's do zip for exfiltration, right? So for the exfiltration, we are going to have the title 7-zip compression dump files, and the description. This detects execution of 7z in order to compress a file with a .dmp .dump extension, which could be a step in the process of dump file exfiltration, right? So as you can see, this is a test. It hasn't been fully realized, but then you already know this should be working, because when in an active incident, let's say for example a ransomware, the attacker will want to exfiltrate some data. Most of the time they will want to do exfiltration. Before they do exfiltration, they will probably use 7-zip to compress the file and stage them and later exfiltrate them. So to get evidence of the exfiltration, sometimes you're going to have to look at file creation events with the extension of .dmp or .dump. And when that happens, this is some of the detection rule that you can write, and we are going to test it and get the Splunk query from this, and you'll see in a moment. So let's say it said description contains 7-zip. The image is the file that is doing the creation is, right, to 7z.exe, 7zr.exe, 7za.exe. Original file name is the same, and then where the command lines contain .dmp, .dump, .hdmp, right? So, and then sometimes you can put false positive. Why it will be a false positive? Legitimate use of 7z with a command line, which the DMP will appear accidentally, or legitimate use of 7z to compress where the wherefore or WP files for troubleshooting, because there are sometimes that DMP files are created by the system, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything bad is going on, but it's good to check. So in this case, I love this. So we are going to take this, copy this, and go to we're going to copy this, and we are going to go to the converter, right? You're going to remove, clear this, and then paste this. Watch the right side of it. Watch the right side. Once you paste this, you see what happens. You get the Splunk query for this particular file. So one of the exciting things that I've found in myself, or from one of the exciting reasons why I like Sigma Rule is the ability for me to kind of get some Splunk queries from it, right? So you take some nice detection rule from Sigma like this, and you put it in this, and you can actually use this to search your logs to find stuff, right? Sometimes you may have to tweak a little bit, but you can see that it gives you this, and you can take this and put it in Splunk or whatever to get you your results. Another time maybe I will come and then I would actually have logs in Splunk, and we are going to test some of these. So we can tweak this. Watch the query section. When we choose Carbon Black, it turns into Carbon Black query for us. Let's go to Kusto. It goes to Kusto, right? And then it's pretty dope. And then let's say Sentinel-1. That's a lot. So there you have it. You can also have some for Sentinel-1 as well, but we're going to focus on Splunk, right? And then yeah, let's get another rule. Let's get another rule. Let's get another rule. Yeah, let's do certutil. It's one tool that's commonly abused for living off the land. Let's use the one that downloads stuff. Yeah, I think this is, yes, exactly. So adversaries, they love to use native tools, living off the land, where if you do not know what that is, they are basically using tools that are already installed on the system to carry out their malicious activities. Because sometimes if they introduce newer tools, their own custom tools, the detection, the security tools like Defender, Carbon Black Defense, or all the other tools may block it because they already know their signature, so they know how they behave and stuff like that. So they'll rather use internal tools like certutil. Certutil is used for certificates, right? Certutil, quickly find out what it does. Certutil, it's a built-in Windows command line to use to manage certification authorities, verify digital certificates, and encode or decode files. So that's what it's used for, but it's abused a lot to download stuff. So in this case, detects the execution of certutil with certain flags that allow the utility to download files. So all the other stuff is here, and usually when that is happening, it starts with the image, which is the certutil itself, original name, and the command line usually will contain URL cache or URL. This is I'm not very familiar with it, but verify CTL. That is why I like reviewing some of these, because you kind of find out new artifacts like these, right? And then usually when also you read threat reports, especially the detailed one like the defer report, you are able to kind of see new tactics and things like that. So yeah, let's check the use of the process creation in attrib hidden files, right? So attrib.exe is used to hide files. So sometimes in investigations you will see that this particular um, process is being used to hide certain files. So it says detect usage of attrib.exe to hide files from users. So you will not see in the regular common paths, right? So it starts with the image, which is the file name, and then the command line contains plus H. You know, then you do all the filterings, and then command line contains and ends with this, or command line contains plus R plus H plus all of this stuff, which is also pretty dope. Let's see if we can find a little bit. BitAdmin, yes, BitAdmin is also a good one. It's also abused to download. Detects usage of BitAdmin downloading a file, the image name, and then the command line contains transfer, create, add file. So why this is important, because if you just make a detection rule to catch BitAdmin or certutil or PowerShell encoded commands, it's gonna make present you with a lot of false positives, right? So you wanna get the you wanna tailor it down to the specific indicators of compromise, which in this case is the create and the add file and the transfer. So when you see BitAdmin doing, creating files, or if you want to see, like if you get a detection that this is happening, a lot of times it could be an indication of compromising your system. Let's see if we can get one more. Okay, let's look at the last one. And then we're gonna call it a day. And then we're also gonna plug it in and see how it's gonna detect in the converter. And then we're gonna call it a day for this one. So recently I was doing some investigation and I saw the dialer, which is pretty cool. That I'm looking at it right now. So the title, outbound network connection initiated by Microsoft Dialer. So detects outbound connection initiated by Microsoft Dialer. Microsoft Dialer, also known as Phone Dialer, is a built-in utility included in various versions of the Microsoft Windows. Its primary function is to provide users with graphical interface for managing phone calls via modem or phone line. But right now, it's an outdated process in the current context, and its usage is a common target for info stealers for process injection, and it's used to make C2 connections. Example is Radamat. Recently I saw it making a C2 connection. So it has to be coming from this, and the initiator is true, and then destination IPs to these. So let's take this and then put in the converter. And then it's going to give us these. Isn't this beautiful? It is. It just gives you the query, like just spits it out for you. So if you're looking for something to detect like a useful Sigma rule, you take the rule and then you put it in the Sigma rule converter, and it just spits this out for you. And you can just copy this and put it in your Splunk instance, and you're going to get a great results, right? I think this is pretty dope. So let me see if we have anything else that I want to go over. Whilst we at it, let me show you that the rule matching is condition in this one is selection and not one of filter. Usually it can be like all of the above has to match. Sometimes it would be like one of them, sometimes it would be like just some multiple of them. There are like there's more to it than this. This is like just surface level. So I just thought it was cool, and then as I'm going over from time to time, I was thinking, hey, maybe you guys could also check it out if you are not familiar with it. So there's a lot more than I'm showing here. There's also rules threat hunting, uh, Windows, of course, and then let's do remote threat detects potential use of created API and load library function that inject DLL into a process. So create remote thread selection, start with the kernel or load library. I mean, I think all of them is in a way a threat hunt sometimes if you are trying to really do the detection or do like live threat hunt, because if you take this and put this in converter, we are going to get this, right? So I treat all of them almost the same, and then obviously they also have like Linux. Let me just go. Let me actually process creation. Suspicious. Detects usage of command line tools such as kill, pkill, or kill all to terminate or signal a running process. Process creation. Xscale. So yeah, I think this is what it is. Hopefully it's been fun for you guys as it's been fun for me. It's a lot of them. Maybe one of these days I'll come and then take one, and you're going to kind of dig into it and probably get like a simulated log in Splunk, where we can take some from here and then go look into the logs to see if we can find anything right there. All right, you guys, hold on. Thank you for coming, and then I'll see you in the next one.